As we have seen in the previous video, under scenario 1, as the leverage going up, the return on equity decrease. Under scenario 2, as the leverage going up, the return on equity increase. So the return on equity actually diverge under these two different scenarios as the leverage going up. And that should give us a hint. You see, as the leverage going up, the return on equity under 50% leverage is either 6% or 22%. But under 70% leverage is either 3% something or 30%. Under 80% leverage, it's 0 or 40%. And that should give us the hint about the standard deviation of return on equity. As leverage going up, the standard deviation of the return on equity should also go up. Before we look at the calculation of the standard deviation, let's look at the expected net income first and the expected return on equity. The expected net income is again the basically the expected gross income minus whatever the interest payment is. Since the expected gross income is just the average of this $80 and $160, it's $120. That's the gross expected income, and then minus whatever the interest payment is. As the leverage going up, interest payment is higher and higher, so the expected net income also decrease as the leverage going up. How about the expected return on equity? The expected return on equity in this case also going up as the leverage going up. Again, it is because the decrease in equity effect in using more and more leverage dominant in this case. So the net expected earning going down, but the equity the shareholders need to put up with the firm going down even faster. So the expected return on equity also going up as the leverage goes higher and higher. Now finally, let's look at the standard deviation of the return on equity. Here I'm using the formula for the population standard deviation. That means I use STDEVP. I have a letter P here in the formula name. Then this formula gives me the population standard deviation. Why is that? Because the numbers in column H, return on equity under scenario 1, and in column J, return on equity under scenario 2, these are the two numbers for the whole population. These are the only two numbers I need to consider for the outcomes. So those two numbers constitute the population of my observation, and I calculated the standard deviation for them. Use this formula. If you don't have the P here, you are going to calculate the standard deviation for a sample, not for the full population. And it actually makes sense because if you think about it, here under 80% leverage, I have 0 and 40%, right, under the two scenarios, and the expected return on equity is exactly 20%. So it's exactly 20% around that 20%, right? 20% minus 20% is 0%, and 20% plus 20% is 40%. So this standard deviation is quite precise. And now we have seen that as the leverage used by the firm going up, the standard deviation of the return on equity going up. That means the profitability on the equity of this firm will fluctuate more, which translates into higher risk for the stock of this firm.